This is the Air60 V2 from NuPhy. Thank you to NuPhy who sent this to me for review. If you're the type to watch setup videos on YouTube or browse r/battle stations on Reddit, then you might have seen this thing. Well, okay, not this thing, something that looks like this thing. There's a bunch of different sizes and configurations of the original Air60, well, the Air lineup. There's the Air60, Air75, and so on. And now NuPhy has launched the V2 version of that lineup, and they have sent me the Air60 V2 for you guys to check out and see if it might be the right keyboard for you. Starting at $109.95, it's available in black, gray, and the white color that I have here. It's also available with 7 switch options, 4 of which will increase the price by $10. It's a low-profile, hot swappable mechanical keyboard with Bluetooth and 2.5 GHz wireless connectivity, and yes, you can just plug it in if you want to. And even nicer, it's compatible with QMK and VIA software, so if you're familiar with either of those, you're gonna feel right at home using this. Inside the box, you're going to get the keyboard, a full-length USB-A to USB-C cable, a very short USB-C to USB-C cable that I can't, like, my brain doesn't make sense of it. Like, when would you use it? How would you use it? It's very short. It's like this big. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a pretty respectable size. You also get a wireless dongle, a keycap and switch puller, some sample switches, those 4 more expensive switches, you get one of each of those to feel and try out, and a couple of extra keycaps to change up the layout a little bit if you'd like. And the best part of the whole thing is it includes some waifu stickers. So that's a bonus for some of us, some of you, some of, not us, not this portly gamer, others, not me. You've got an aluminum frame on top and a frosted semi-transparent ABS bottom. No visible branding on the top or the sides, which is a nice touch, but you do have a NuPhy logo on the weight on the bottom. You got a 3-way power switch and a Windows and Mac toggle on the back, USB-C port on the side. You've got some rubber feet and 2 dual level pop-out feet, so you can have different levels of height adjustment if you prefer. The keycaps are double shot PBT, low profile, but thick where it counts. Now, even though this thing is very flat and very slim, it actually does have some sound dampening material inside. A very thin amount of sound dampening, but it is in there, and it helps contribute to what I think is a pretty good sound for a keyboard this small. You've got pour-on foam for the plate, and silicone under the spacebar. Honestly, the stabilizers here sound really good. I mean, when I have to build my own custom keyboards, I can't really get the stabilizers to sound all that great. And out of the box, this just sounds pretty darn good.
Watch your profanity.
The copy I received has the Allo linear switches, and they sound really nice. The only thing is that, for me personally, I don't like the actuation force. They're very light at 37 grams, and my fat little fingertips just kind of press them on their own if I have my fingers resting on top of the keyboard, like if I'm gaming or something. I like this keyboard so much that I could see myself using it regularly. I might end up picking up one of their other low profile switches with a heavier actuation force and trying that to see how I like it. All 7 switch options are lightly factory lubed, and the 4 options that cost the extra $10 have long pull stems. They use your standard Cherry MX style stems, so in theory you could swap these out for another profile of keycap if you wanted to, but you can definitely expect that to affect the bottom out distance. You've got RGB lighting built right in, and you can use keyboard shortcuts to adjust the lighting. Now, normally I don't really show off the RGB in a keyboard anymore unless it's like particularly special. And while this isn't that amazing, I don't think I've ever seen so many different RGB lighting effects built into one keyboard. Like, seriously, there's tons of them to go through that I'm just gonna kind of show here on the screen for you. It's a lot. There's also these thin little RGB strips along the top of the frame next to the escape key and the backspace key. You can even adjust the lighting on those too if you'd like. You don't have to just stick with the effect that's out of the box. And if you prefer, you can also change it so that the one on the right is a power indicator on its own. Even if you don't use that option, it will flash as a power indicator to show your battery life when you first turn the keyboard on. There is also RGB lighting on the back of the keyboard, by the way, but you're barely gonna see that. Not really sure why it's there, but I guess it adds something for someone. This is a keyboard that's really popular in like productivity setups and whatnot, but it's also a keyboard that you can definitely use for gaming. It has up to a 1000 Hz polling rate which is kind of your standard with gaming keyboards. And as usual, you're going to have the most latency but best battery life in Bluetooth mode. If you're in wired mode or using the wireless dongle, you're going to get that 1000 Hz polling rate, which is going to be your best for gaming. If you're using Bluetooth, you're going to get 125 Hz polling rate. Speaking of battery, the battery life has been very, very good. This has a 2500 milliamp hour battery that, according to NuPhy, with all the RGB lighting on, is going to last between 30 to 90 hours, but with the lighting off, it's going to last up to about 150 hours. I've been using this keyboard as my main after-work keyboard on my personal computer for weeks, and only then did I see the battery indicator change from a green to sort of a light orange color. Now granted, I used Bluetooth and I had the lighting off, but I don't really need the RGB for a wireless keyboard like this, so I'd rather have that battery life. I really like how this keyboard looks and how it sounds, but my favorite thing about it is just how light and compact it is. Now I'm speaking as someone who is a mechanical keyboard enthusiast. Some of my favorite keyboards that I own are very large, heavy keyboards that weigh a lot and are hard to move around. So it's very refreshing to have a keyboard that weighs about 463 grams. That's about 1 pound. It's less than 12 inches wide at its widest point, and honestly, being able to just pick it up with one hand, move it aside when I need it out of the way, put it back when I need to. I mean, custom keyboards are awesome and I will definitely keep using the ones that I have, but the convenience here is great. Now you may be asking, what is the difference between the V2 and the original? The original only had up to a 500 Hz polling rate. The aesthetics are also a little bit different. This one is compatible with QMK and VIA and the original is not. To be honest, I don't know if the original is hot swap. From what I'm looking at here, there's all these different switch options for the V2, but it mentions nothing like that on the V1. As for the software, QMK, VIA, and so on, I don't really use QMK, but it is somewhat similar to VIA, and I do use VIA for this. If you've used other keyboard softwares and whatnot, it basically does what a lot of those do. You can go in and customize your profiles and your layers and your different shortcuts and macros and all that good stuff. Now as for dislikes, the Windows key is mapped to this key here. Now by default, that key is here instead of here where it usually is. Boy, let me tell you, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I don't know how many times I hit that key and brought up Windows instead of holding Control, and that was quite infuriating, a little bit. Luckily, it's as simple as going into VIA and changing that, but the fact that it's like that out of the box, like why? Why though? Also, very strange, the Windows and Mac toggle, at least for me on my copy, is like wrong or something. I had this thing on Windows mode for like the first week that I had it, and the function key just was not doing certain things it's supposed to do. It was treating the top row like a function row, like F1, F2, and so on, instead of doing like the media controls and stuff that I have there. Weirdly, it was not until after I switched it to Mac mode just to see if that would do anything that actually worked. That fixed it. A little frustrating, but it's a pretty simple fix. And that is the end of that. I have been recording for much longer than I wanted to, and I'm tired and I want to go home now. I am home, but I'm gonna stop recording now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I know I teased the game console thing, but I do actually have a review coming up for this. I'm gonna do more gaming handheld stuff as well, and more keyboard stuff. More whatever I want, basically. Yeah. I'm gonna go now. Like I said I was gonna do. Watch a video here. Okay. Bye.